I'm Michael O'Leary and I watch All About Sport on Cavan TV. So should you.
Hello and welcome to All About Sport on CavanTV.com, coming to you from our new studio at the Cavan Crystal Hotel, Dublin Road, Cavan Town. All About Sport is Ireland's first live web TV sports programme with nearly 2 million views in 212 countries worldwide. Coming up on tonight's show, our well-informed traders from Boyle Sports, Rory and Damien, are here to give you all the much-needed tips for the following events, including the Aintree Grand National, the Premier League Darts, the Premier League Football and the US Golf Masters, and that's all coming up on the show. But first I'm joined by John Higgins, son of Cavan football legend Mick Higgins, and Paul Fitzpatrick, Anglo-Celt sports editor and author of The Fairy Tale in New York. So John and Paul, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
John, firstly, tell us a little bit about your dad, Mick Higgins, that great legend, and what it was like growing up in a house with somebody like Mick.
Well, I suppose to be fair, you never felt, growing up, you never felt that he was a legend. You certainly knew all about his football feats and all of that type of situation. But Mick was a very humble man, and he was very humble, and he was very easy person to live with. And I suppose as I grew up, and when I got to about 12 or 14, I was all the time training greyhounds when he was training football teams. Yeah. So. I have great memories of the Cavan teams of the 60s, the Longford teams of the 60s, and the Donegal team of 72. So while I didn't play that much football myself, I trained greyhounds and he trained footballers, and it was a great time, and he was an absolute gentleman. Brilliant.
For any of our viewers who, I'm sure a lot of our viewers would know who Mick Higgins is, but just give us a little bit an idea about his background and all his football achievements.
Yeah, well, I suppose the first thing to start, he has a number of unique achievements, and I suppose the first is that he was born in New York in August 1922, and he came back to Ireland at his 5th birthday. I suppose his first major football achievement was to win the McCrory Cup with St Mary's in Dundalk, which is topical at this stage when St Pat's have done so wonderful in the last number of weeks. But in 1938, when he was 16, he won the McCrory Cup with St Mary's Dundalk, where he was in college. And interesting, when you look at the statistics, in those 10 years, the main colleges were McCartn's Monaghan, St Pat's Cavan, St Pat's Armagh, and St Mary's Dundalk. So that was where I suppose his first, as I would see it, unique footballing achievement. Then, when he got to minor age, he played minor with Louth, I think, in the first year, and they were beaten in the Leinster final by Kildare, who went on and won the All Ireland. Following year, he was in Kildare. He played minor football with Kildare, got beaten by Louth in the Leinster final, and Louth went on and won the All Ireland. And funny enough, as the 2 years had twisted around, he would have finished up with 2 minor All-Irelands, where he finished up with none. And then I suppose, like, he played with Cavan Juniors in 42 and 43, and then I suppose the breakthrough, I think, in the senior team came in 45. And then I suppose the first All-Ireland was the great 1947 All-Ireland, which was a fantastic achievement. It's an All-Ireland that, having beat Kerry, what was it, 2-11 to 2-7, I think when you talk to Kerry people, they always remember that one as the one they lost, more than any of the other ones they lost, because they never felt very happy that they were beaten by Cavan in New York. But I suppose, the uniqueness of that occasion was for someone like him, who had been born in New York and went back and won an All-Ireland in New York. He is the only person that has that unique distinction.
Brilliant. Your dad worked as a guard when he returned.
He worked as a guard. He worked as a guard, and he served in Drogheda, in Ballyborough and Tullivin. He had a long stint in Tullivin, but he was a community guard, and he got on very, very well with the people in Tullivin, and there was no unsolved crimes in Tullivin when he was there.
Yeah. So you won 3 All-Ireland medals, obviously the one we spoke about, 1947 against Kerry, 1948 against Mayo, and then he captained the 1952 team, so great achievements.
The 52 was an interesting one, because the 52 was a replay. And it just shows how life has changed. But in 52, the first day, Father Heatherton, Seamus Heatherton, was playing number 10 for Cavan. And he was playing on Christo hand, and every time he went in, he got pulled down, and Mick was left with frees quite a bit out. So on the Sunday night after the match, he wrote to Father Heatherton, because Father Heatherton was in Maynooth studying for the priesthood. So there was no Twitter or feedback. He had to write to him, and he wrote to him and he said, look, Father, when you get the ball on next Sunday, you cut down the middle, because Christo will still pull you down. So you cut down the middle because it makes the frees easier. And it turned out that it was a very wet day, and the score, Mick scored 7 of the 9 points. But it was a very unique thing to write to him, like as we say now, with coaches and everything. That was the way it was done. He wrote to him and explained, you cut down the centre, don't cut the wing. Wow.
And he has been described as a man who became a GA superstar of his generation. He truly was, and he's one of the...
Yeah, well, I suppose, like when you move on then after his playing days, he trained Cavan from about 56 to 69. And I suppose one of the unique things that I would see about one of the unique things is the 59 year. In 59, he trained the Cavan minors and he trained the Cavan seniors. Both were in the Ulster final, and the Cavan minors went on to be beaten by Dublin in the All-Ireland final. But uniquely, he refereed the other semi-final between Down and Derry, which was known as the Battle on the Screen. But I think, when you look back at it, where somebody who was asked to referee the other semi-final with his own county already in the final shows how he was, trusted and held in such high esteem in Ulster football.
Yeah. As you said, he had his coaching career, but he had an all-time All-Star award. So this was a unique award in a sense.
He won the All-Stars. He won the Texaco Hall of Fame award in 1989. Now, the Texaco Hall of Fame, I think since then there's only been 1 or 2, and the last one was Pat Spillane. But what happened with the Texaco Hall of Fame was it went to a different sport every year. Likes of Paddy Hopkirk of motor racing, the likes of Vincent O'Brien of horse racing, the likes of the late Tom Draper. So when you look at the situation, probably if you go back over 50 years, there probably only is about 5 or 6 Gaelic footballers who won that special Hall of Fame, the Texaco Hall of Fame, and as I said, Pat Spillane was the last one. So that was very unique for him. When you go back to his coaching and that type of thing, to take it like in '66, he trained Longford to win their first National League, and they beat a wonderful Galway team at that point in time. And then he trained them in '68 to win their first ever Leinster. They were very unlucky in an All-Ireland semi-final, getting beaten by Kerry by a goal in the last minute. And then he went and worked with Brian McNiff and the late Columba McDowell, who funnily enough was on the Cavan team in 1947 with him in New York. He was number 12 where Mick was number 11. And they trained Donegal to win the first Ulster in 1972. So he probably finished up with, if you take Cavan in 62, 64, 67, 69, he probably had trained 6 teams that got to All-Ireland semi-finals, but unluckily didn't get to finals.
Oh my goodness, wow. Obviously the Cavan team are making their way out to New York, and the Higgins family, you've kindly donated this lovely cup. But what does it mean to you all as a family to have your dad being recognised in this way?
Oh, we're very honoured, and we're delighted to be asked to donate the trophy, because it's a link with his past, where he was born in New York, and it's a link with 47. And we're absolutely honoured and thrilled to be asked to donate the trophy.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, John. Paul Fitzpatrick, we'll bring you in on this. You're the author of the book, The Fairy Tale in New York. But tell us, a little bit more about the book, and it brings to life one of the most famous All-Ireland championships of its time. So tell us about that, Paul.
Yeah, at the time, Louise, the 1947 All-Ireland final was regarded as the greatest showpiece in the history of Irish sport. Regardless of the sport, it was like nothing ever seen before. Like the excitement in this country at the time to bring the All-Ireland final, which was the biggest day in Irish sport, to bring that to New York. It was only a couple of years after the end of World War II. I always compare it to when Cavan got to an All-Ireland semi-final in 1925 against Kerry in Tralee. The first result from that game, a right back by carrier pigeon in Cavan Town from Tralee. So that was only just over 20 years earlier. So we can imagine the magnitude of bringing the best athletes in Ireland to New York for an All-Ireland final. These fellas were absolute household names, and so that's why it's never been forgotten. And obviously the GA have never brought a final outside of the country since then, and probably never will do it again, so they deserve their place in the pantheon.
What made you decide you wanted to write this book and bring it, I suppose, to people to read?
I think it was just something I was always interested in, and the fact that I'm covering GA for a newspaper in Cavan, and I kind of had an ambition to write a book, and I just thought it was the natural thing to cover because I hadn't read all that much on it. I had read lots on it, but I kind of wanted to get the story of the fellas themselves because there was great characters on the team. Tried to get across the characters that were on it, like the likes of Mick Higgins and Willie Doonan and Phil the Gunner Brady and all those type of characters. Because people in Cavan still talk about them and still remember them. And, like they were before my time, but I feel like nearly like I know them at this stage because I've talked about them so much to different people. And I'm delighted to meet John here for the first time this evening. But to hear the story about Mick Higgins writing to fella Seamus Heatherton in 1952, I wish I had known that because it definitely
would have gone in the book.
It definitely would have been in the book because it goes to show that how times have changed, but also like how much it meant to the fellas themselves as well. To sit down and write a letter like that, I think that's just absolutely amazing.
That's lovely. Obviously, you had spent a considerable amount of time researching and to write this fantastic book of Cavan's finest hour, as you put it. But I mean, how much did you enjoy meeting the different people to gather the information? Did you find it hard? Did it take you long? How long were you preparing this book?
It took about 18 months, I'd say, from start to finish. No, I didn't find it hard at all. I found it very enjoyable. I went to New York and I spoke to a few people out there, and I spoke to people all over, different people in Ireland, and did a lot of research in old newspaper archives as well. And that's where a lot of stuff came from. The amount of stuff that's in those archives is amazing. Like if you know where to look, you can find a lot of stuff. And we've got a lot of old anecdotes. I think that those anecdotes kind of brought it to life, different bits and pieces, like that thing about the letter to Father Heatherton, and just some of the sayings that people might have come out with at various times. Like, for example, Joe Stafford was on the Cavan team at corner forward, and he was a real rambunctious character, I suppose you put it. And he scored a goal in the first half of the Polo Grounds, but as they were walking off at half time, the announcer, they had an American announcer in the style of a racehorse announcer, where he was announcing as the play went, he was talking and the whole crowd could hear him, and he announced that T.P. O'Reilly had scored a goal, and when Joe went walking off at half time, Joe grabbed T.P. by the jersey. He said, "I got that goal, you didn't get that goal." So it was Garrett O'Reilly, T.P. O'Reilly's son, who told me that story. So it's those little things that I think it's important that they're recorded because I wouldn't like to see them getting lost.
Yeah, that's brilliant. How has the book been received for you, Paul?
Oh, it was great. There was a great critical feedback to it, and we didn't get any awards or anything like that, but it sold fairly well.
And it's still on sale if people want to buy it.
Yeah,
they can still get their hands on it.
Knocking around. We might reissue it.
Yeah, definitely. How significant is it, do you think, to have this Cavan team make that trip to New York for the Mick Higgins Cup? And I believe you're heading off yourself with the guys.
Yeah, I'm heading off as well. I think it's very significant. I suppose speaking to Terry Hyland there a couple of days ago, and I put it to him that it's a reward for the players as well, as much as anything. And he said, yeah, it is a reward, but he said it's not much of a reward when you're going out to do hard work. He says it's going to be tough work out there. He says they're not leaving work behind. He said they're going to work. So there's that as well, and you have the promotional aspect of it as well. And it chimes very nicely with Mick Higgins, as he was born in New York. And by the time of the Polo Grounds All Ireland, the GA was actually lagging fairly badly in New York. Things that were at a bit of a low ebb, and that's why they decided. It's one of the reasons that they brought the final there. So it gave it a massive boost in New York at the time. And actually, the GA is going really well in New York right now. It's probably better than ever, and they've got loads of kids playing football as well and hurling. So I think it'll give it another great boost as well. So it's good to keep the Cavan link strong out there as well, because that's a great Cavan supporters out there.
Which is great. And in saying that, there's a huge Cavan New York link, but it's a great opportunity for Cavan people living in New York and in the surrounding states to head to these games. But not only is it to celebrate the legacy of the Mick Higgins, and then of course Cavan New York Gaelic Football Club are celebrating 100th anniversary. So all the games are going to be taking part at the Gaelic Park. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the games?
Yeah, well, to give you a breakdown of the itinerary for it, the team arrive on the Wednesday, and they've got a meet and greet that day at the Shannon Gales club pitch, and there's going to be a load of kids there, and they're going to meet all these kids and just kick around with them and have some fun with them. Then on Thursday night they play New York in Gaelic Park, and it's an aggregate, so it's the highest score over both games added up wins the trophy. On Friday then they're going to be training in upstate New York in Rockfield County. I think it's Rockfield Gales GA club as far as I know. And then Saturday they're training again for a very tough schedule training Saturday. And then Sunday they play New York in the deciding match in Gaelic Park. And that's going to be They're hoping for a sellout, which should be 2,500 supporters, and there's already talk of buses from Boston and Philadelphia.
Oh wow, that sounds brilliant. Yeah.
It'll be a festival of Cavan stuff out there.
That'd be brilliant. And obviously the Cavan team are using this as a training camp ahead of their Ulster Senior Football Championship opener against Monaghan, so they'll be training hard.
Oh, they'll be training hard, yeah, because it's, you see that the Kerrys and Donegals of this world get away for a training camp. Like, there is a lot to be said for it, because of course Cavan did it as well in your father's time.
Yeah.
As well, it was a Cavan pioneer collective training that time, where fellas would get a couple of weeks off work and train together.
Yeah.
So a bottle of stout in the evening, I don't know to get that.
Yeah, with that collective training, I think they were the first to go into collective training, and it took 2 weeks. I think one of the sessions was one of the years was down in Ballyconnell, and I think the other was in Ballyjames. But yeah, they would have seen that as a huge benefit to them in winning in All Ireland at that point in time. Yes. Brilliant.
John, some final thoughts from yourself, please.
Well, look, we're delighted. I'm delighted to honour the memory of Mick by having the Cavan New York. It's very, very fitting. Look, I suppose in his before he passed away, he was interviewed by Jerome Quinn, and he said Jerome asked him for his epitaph, which I thought was very strange, because knowing Mick, he wouldn't say too many words. But he said, look, I never hurt anybody. I played the game clean, and I never was put off. And that was I was quite surprised that he gave that to Jerome Quinn at that stage, because all through life I've never heard him refer to that, but it was as he saw it. Yes. Brilliant.
Well, John, thank you very much for coming in and joining us on All About Sport, and Paul, best of luck and enjoy the trip to New York.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. We're going to go to a quick ad break, but don't go anywhere, because coming up next is Rory and Damien. Cavan Crystal Hotel provides 4-star accommodation on the edge of Cavan town. Located conveniently on the Dublin Road, just 60 minutes away from Dublin. With 85 beautifully appointed bedrooms and a number of luxurious suites. We offer wedding packages. With our one wedding a day policy, we guarantee to make yours a special day. Enjoy a meal at our award-winning Opus One restaurant, or have a drink in the atrium or residence bars. Feeling energetic? You can work out in Zest Health and Fitness Club, or maybe pamper yourself and visit Utopia Health and Beauty Clinic, or Avita's Hair Salon, both located on site. Situated only 5 minutes from Cavan Town Centre and local amenities. Cavan Crystal Hotel, gateway to Ireland's Lakelands.
Yeah, thanks very much, Louise. Damien, it's a very big weekend in sport.
It's a mega weekend. We have the Grand National, we have the Masters, we have the Premier League darts, and GA semi-finals too, Division 1 in the league. But we'll start with the main event, Saturday, 4:15 in the entry, the Grand National, the most famous horse race in the world. 40 runners over 30 fences, unlimited carnage the whole way around. It's
exactly.
Even for a non-horse racing fan, it's a serious watch. It's
betting shops in England and Ireland will be flooded. People will only come in once a year to do a bet on one race, and it's the Grand National.
Oh yeah, everyone and their granny will be in betting on this race, and 2 or 3 in the race. But sure, we'll start at the top of the market. Will we shut the front door?
Shut the front door. John Joe O'Neill trained, AP Mackay ridden.
JP McManus owned as well, don't forget that.
Exactly. Its only run this year has been at Carlisle when it won the graduation chase. It also won the Irish Grand National last year at Fairyhouse.
Yeah, very impressive
this horse has been more or less set up for AP.
Oh yeah, well AP had his choice of all JP's horses, and this is the one he picked. As we said before in this show, he's going to retire if he wins the Grand National, and he's had his pick of his horses of what he wants. This is 7-1 now. If you want to back this horse, back it now or back it tomorrow, because it'll go off, I would say, the shortest favourite in Grand National history.
Yeah.
Probably go off about 5-1.
5-1, 11-2. Definitely no higher than that.
The shortest I can remember was Comply or Die, which was 6-1, 13-2, in around that mark.
Yeah.
That's gone back a couple of years ago. Now, but it'd be a great way for AP Mackay to round off his career, wouldn't it?
Oh, it'd be like the best jumps jockey that has ever raced over fences.
It'll not be too good for us at Boyle Sports, though, will it?
No. It'll not be a great result for the bookies now.
Well, anything else catch your eye here for the national?
The second favourite, Rocky Creek, which is trained by Paul Nichols. Sam Twist and Davis will be riding this. This has had an up and a down year so far. It won the Bet-Bright Chase in February. Now, it was pulled up in the Gold Cup at Newbury earlier on this year, and it was second in the JN Wine Champion Chase in November behind Road to Riches. We all know what Road to Riches went on and did after that. Finished third in the Gold Cup, Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Fourth. Sorry, yeah.
Third, fourth. It was in the mix there at the end, anyway.
But this sort, it is a great chance as well.
Oh yeah, excellent chance. Just when you bring up Cheltenham there, the first day of Cheltenham, obviously with all the Willie Mullins carnage going on, the handicap chase sometimes gets lost. The Druid's nephew was an impressive winner of that. Yeah. Obviously we've seen the second and third were prominent in the betting in the Irish Grand National as well. And this is the winner now. One with Barry Garrity on. Barry Garrity's injured now. It's Aidan Coleman's going to ride it.
I'm nearly sure Aidan Coleman's going to ride it.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't put anyone off that at 14-1. You know, handicap chase at Cheltenham going into the National too. Maybe it's a bit too much, but definitely wouldn't put anyone off.
Look, anything can win this race. It's just like if they can avoid getting involved in fallers and other things like that, any horse can win it. Basically, 100-1 winner a couple of years ago, Mon Mum.
Yeah, that really kickstarted Liam Treadwell's career
exactly,
too. Like you know,
the horses don't know their prices going off. So,
but as you said there's any amount of carnage. Obviously, they have to negotiate Beecher's Brook, the chair, the handbrake turn or the canal turn. You know, it's unmitigated carnage in it at all. Any outside of you fancy for it?
I fancy the package. The package is at the minute at 33-1 shot. It won the Kim Moore. It won the Kim Moore at the Cheltenham Festival earlier on this year, and David Pipe knows what to do.
When he's aimed at these big handicaps, you know, he's always well fancied and he's always ready and right for the day. And definitely, I wouldn't put you off back in that at 33-1.
Yeah, like if it doesn't run, Boyle Sports are still refunding all. If the horse doesn't run, Boyle Sports are refunding bets. Non-runner cash back, and also we've 5 places as well. We're paying on the national too. So even if it doesn't get in the mix, but still comes 4th or 5th, you know, you still get paid out. I'm going for one out of left field here. I go for Oscar Time at 50-1 now. It's a big price, but you know, you don't get rich back in snort prices. Exactly.
But it was second in 2011. I actually had a good bet on it that year, and just unfortunately didn't come off. It was 4th in 2013. Sparsely run since. It ran at Aintree and won at Aintree already this season over 3 Mile too. Some people look and say, "Oh, Sam Wheely Cohen's riding it. He's probably the most famous amateur jockey at the time being, like, you know." But if you look at his record, he's unbelievable around Aintree.
Yeah, exactly. And as you says, if he finished second over course and distance as well, not too many horses that. And
I trust the jockey, even though some people wouldn't. Like he's long runs jockey too. Like you know,
exactly. He knows what it does. He knows how to win the big races, let's say.
Oh yeah, and he knows his way around Aintree. He seems to perform better in Aintree than he does anywhere else. But 50-1 shot, it's definitely worth an each way a poke at that. 5 places. You have a seasoned horse there, consistent enough. You have a second and a 4th in the Grand National over the last couple of years. So that'll be my call.
Well, that's fair enough. We'll move on to Gaelic next weekend?
We'll move on to the Gaelic this weekend. Yeah, we have the 2 Division 1 semi-finals. Now, the teams in Division 1 form was very, very patchy up and down, you know. 1 week the Dubs were turning it around, the next minute they were bad, you know. Mayo's the same, Donegal too. But the 2 semi-finals ended up with Cork and Donegal, and then the Dubs and Monaghan. We'll start a 2 o'clock game. You have Cork and Donegal. Cork are 8-11, Donegal 11-8. 15-2 a draw. Where would your money be here?
I fancy Cork at the minute. They were beaten by Derry at the weekend, but they only put out a weakened team. They knew they had already qualified for the semi-finals.
Derry were already relegated too. It was a dead rubber of a match. Like it's probably bad from a betting point of view to invest in a match like that. But
But like Cork will definitely, well, obviously Donegal want to get to the final too, but you've been following Cork all year and you're a fan of theirs as well.
Well, I just think there's something about them all year. They've Colin O'Neill back too, which kind of polishes the team off up front for them. Can get them extra scores they were struggling to get. But in the heat of the hunt, every time Donegal's been rode off the last couple of years, they've come back. Like, you know,
exactly.
They've won the All-Ireland out of nowhere. They were wrote off after Mayo absolutely hammered them into the ground in Croke Park the year after.
Yeah.
Then come back.
Got to the final last year.
They gave it to the Dubs last year in the semi-final, got to the final last year, probably only for a goalkeeping error. You know, had every chance of winning it there at the end.
Yeah.
But you're right, I'd still lean towards Cork. I think Cork could probably win this out, you know.
Yeah. Now, the other semi-final is the Dubs against Monaghan. That game, they actually played each other last weekend, and in Clonus, the Dubs bet Monaghan.
Was the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, it'll be hard to look past the Dubs this weekend.
People are crying the last couple of years, how good would Dublin be once you take them out of Croke Park and get them away in a place like Clonus against a good Ulster team in Monaghan. And that was people's chance to see how Dublin performed. Dublin ticked every box.
Yeah.
Every box last Sunday. Monaghan are a good team, good, strong, hardy team, you know, good seasoned team. Plenty of good forwards too, and Dubs were too much for them last week.
Yeah.
But then I think the Dubs are 1-7 there. Like you couldn't touch that price.
No, it's too short.
Monaghan 11-2. Like Monaghan's a very well supported county, and they'll have a few pound on themselves. There's going to have to be a reaction from them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do you know,
yeah.
If the Ducks do this again to them in Croke Park, like, you know, where's their confidence going to be for the first game of the championship?
Exactly.
I think they'll probably sit in and they'll do what Derry done a couple of weeks ago to Dublin. They'll just pack the defence.
If you can try and get the Dubs shooting from as far out as possible. Donegal did it last year in the semi-final, and bar Paul Flynn, there wasn't too many players that can kick long-range pints.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
the Dubs will get frustrated.
You'll have people like Ryan McMenamin and Darren McCauley trying to run the ball through, you know. Yeah. Ulster teams will swallow that up. The blueprint for beating Dublin is what Donegal done to them last week. Like, you know.
So.
Or last year,
Malachy O'Rourke will be getting his lads well tuned.
Definitely no better man.
Yeah. They didn't have to win last weekend. They were through to the semi-finals as it was, so they could take the foot off the gas. And
you're going to nail your colours to the mast for betting this game. It's a very lopsided bet.
The fact that the Dubs are 1-7, you can't really touch it.
11-1 the draw, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Monaghan keep the score down. Maybe pinch a few.
Yeah, well, if you can keep the Dubs to in around 2 or 3 pints, anything can happen. And if they don't get their own way, they'll start to get frustrated and stuff like that. So the Monaghan lads are just going to have to be clued in for up until the death.
Oh yeah, well, their Dubs are going to get on top at some stage in the game, and if you can keep the scoreboard ticking over, then you're going to be in with a chance. But we'll stick with the 4 semi-final. We're all in Cork about 8-11.
Yeah.
Don't like the short prices, but I think that's a good short price.
Yeah, definitely.
All
right, third team. We're going to move on to the darts, which takes place Thursday night at Sheffield. Last Thursday night was Judgment Night, which saw Kim Hybrex and Peter Wright get eliminated. It was a great night starts.
It was good now. It was compelling watching all night now. Kim Hybrex he didn't show up, did he?
Yeah, he was unlucky now. We even got Phil Taylor beaten as well.
We got Phil Taylor beaten, but it's happening a bit too frequent than it used to happen now.
But anyway, yeah, we'll move on to the first game anyways, Demo. The first match sees Adrian Lewis take on James Wade. Lewis actually won last Thursday night. He had to win to avoid elimination.
He eventually won, yeah.
He's 13-10 to beat Wade on Thursday night. Wade's a 6-4 shot, and the draw is 17-5. Now, these two players played each other in week 7, and it ended up being a 6-all match that night. There's not much between these two players.
Both players don't live up to their potential.
Yeah. I said to you last week about Lewis, I said he would win, and he did win, and he's going to beat James Wade on Thursday night again.
Well, I'd say a draw then.
Right, well, we'll agree on that one.
You can back Lewis with me, and I'll back a draw with you.
The second match is Gary Anderson taking on Dave Chisnell. Chizzy bet the power last week. He'd be all guns blazing against Anderson this week. Anderson 7-4, Chizzy 11-4. Chizzy is a massive price at 11-4.
I think so too, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, He bet Anderson in week 5 7-2.
Yeah. I'm very impressed with Chisnell. He's the Paul Scholes of darts. There's just no nonsense with him. He just doesn't get involved with the crowd or dancing about like other people. He just comes out, throws his darts. He's playing well.
I think he was 3-1 down against Taylor last Thursday night.
That's right, Jay.
And it was a desperate match to watch at the start. But once he started hitting his treble 20s, he was bombing the treble 20s.
He went to 40-1 at one stage in that match, didn't he? Like, Taylor was unbackable at one stage.
He couldn't hit a double to save his life in the first 4 legs. And then once he hit one double, bang, that was it.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor didn't know what to do.
Can you think of too many people who come back from 3-0 down against Phil Taylor and want to win impressively?
Exactly, yeah. So, I fancy Chizzy. I'm going to go for Chizzy this weekend or Thursday night.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there. He's 12-1 to win it outright now, isn't he? That's not a bad bet. 12-1. Like, he's so consistent. He's so calm. And
now, to repeat his 7-2 success over Anderson in week 5, he's a 33-1 shot. It's a big ask, but it is possible.
Of course, it's possible. Yeah, of course, it's possible. Gary Anderson, though, like he is finishing his doubles, which he hadn't done over the last couple of years. Like winning the World Championships really brought his game to a high, consistent level. Yeah. Too, like he's a different animal than he used to be too.
Yeah.
I don't think there might be that much in this game.
No.
But I would fancy Chizzy, yeah.
Will we go 7-5
Go
Chizzy?
7-5 Chizzy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, third match.
Keep it interesting, yeah.
Third match sees the Phil Taylor take on Ray van Barneveld. These two rivals meet again, Demo.
This is old hat now to me. Like,
yeah.
In the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, there's been fanfare about Taylor v Barney. Like, we've seen this match 100 times,
And they played each other in week 7, and Barney actually bet him that night.
Barney bet him, yeah. Barney seems to be able to turn it on for the big night against Taylor too.
Yeah, exactly.
That 7-2 is a bit big there now.
7-2 is a bit big. I still think Phil Taylor will win.
It'd be hard to see him getting beat 2 weeks in a row.
Barney just avoided elimination, and I suppose all form does go out the window when these two players meet, but yeah,
they make it personal up there, don't they? They hate losing to each other, but
definitely, yeah. So I'll be taking the 8-15. I know it's short odds, but
no one gets rich back in short odds.
Yeah, but I don't think Barney's going to beat him, and I can't see it being a draw. So.
They're both well past their best. Taylor not so much. Barney definitely a lot.
Fourth match on Thursday night is Stephen Bunting plays Michael Van Gerwen. Michael Van Gerwen, who won again last week. He had 7 wins and 2 draws in the 9 matches. So he's a cert to win this week.
He's an absolute machine. Like he's just unstoppable when he comes out. Like he's a joy to watch.
He's
unbelievable to watch. It's over like that.
Yeah.
He just comes out and he blows people away. 4-11 is short. Maybe that's one for an accumulator. Maybe if you want to put Van Gerwen in on top of Taylor, in on top of Cork, maybe.
Yeah.
But definitely single bets no, but definitely for an accumulator or a double or a treble. Van Gerwen's a cert.
MVG bet Bunting 7-3 in week 2. Now, for this to happen again, which is actually a great chance, it's a 4-1 shot. So if you don't want to take the short odds on Van Gerwen, you could back him to win 7-3 at 4-1.
Yeah, because he is going to break him up a bit, and then Bunting will hold his throw the odd time, So 7-3 is a good call there, Rory. 4-1. 4-1's about right for that, Tenner on that, no bother though.
Yeah, handy 40 beans.
Handy 40 beans, yeah.
Right, last match is Dave Chisnell against James Wade. Now, these players played in week 3, and it ended up being a 6-all draw that night. Prices again, this game is going to be very hard to split as well. Chizzy 8-5, Wade 6-5, the draw is 7-2. Damien, why is James Wade 6-5 against Chisnell?
I don't know.
Surely them prices should be the other way.
I'm looking at that match there as if it was priced maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah. When Chizzy was coming onto the scene.
When Chizzy was coming onto the scene, and Wade was one of the top players then.
Yeah.
Plus, the both of them will have played already that night, so that's going to affect too.
Definitely, yeah. If
Lewis beats Wade, and then
when Lewis
beats Wade, sorry, Rory, and then say Chizzy wins as well, the momentum's going to be with Chizzy, and Wade's going to be a bit downtrodden.
Yeah. So. And if Chizzy can beat Anderson,
Exactly.
Like, he's definitely.
He's going to feel untouchable the rest of the night, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Like that 8-5 will not last. But then again, if Anderson wins, but like, still going with Chizzy in this match.
Ah, yeah. Chizzy on the double.
Yeah.
What's your best bet?
Definitely.
That's your best bet out of the whole Premier League, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I found it outright market Anderson's a 7-2 shot. Now, if he gets to the final, you'd imagine like we're paying a third the odds 1-2. So if he gets to the final, if you backed him each way, if he gets to the final, you're going to be getting your money back. But like, although MVG is going to be hard.
You know, like that's the monster, like, isn't it? It's going to take a seasoned pro, someone like Taylor or like Barney, to slow MVG down in a final. Like, you know, that's your only chance of getting him beat. But Chizzy each way probably to get to a final at 12-1.
Yeah, good call. I'll not disagree with you on that one.
But it's an uphill task stopping Van Garen from winning this out, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, looks like it so far. Right, we'll move on to the Premier League football this weekend.
Premier League football, yeah, no bother. Saturday morning, we've an early kick-off, 12:45. Swansea v Everton. Swansea 6-4, Everton 19-10, draw 21-10. Where would your money be going here?
I'll have to go with the draw in this game. Swansea, we highlighted last week, Swansea were a massive price
To beat Hull.
to beat Hull last weekend. They won the game. Everton, you disagreed with me last week. At Goodison over the last couple of months have been very hard to beat.
But if you watch that game at Southampton were all over them in that game. Howard pulled off an unbelievable
Possibly
save.
one of the best saves I've ever seen in the Premier League.
Yeah, and especially me after backing Pele at 7-1 to score the first goal. It was a bit hard to take, but...
And then Phil Jagielka went up and scored.
A poxy goal from a corner,
Yeah.
like, you know. But I get it hard to back either of these teams to beat the other one. Like,
Yeah.
they're Swansea's probably a more consistent team this season than Everton is. You just don't know what you're going to get. Like,
Everton had the Europa League distractions. They're out of that now. This is more. It's a dead rubber match. Like neither team have anything to play for it. Like they're not challenging.
Everton's just not out of the relegation zone yet, are they?
Yeah, well, I think after winning last weekend, or
it'll be a big ask for them to get dragged in. Yeah, you're probably right. It is a dead rubber. Yeah.
There's not much.
Well, we'd say the draw 21-10. Yeah.
Yeah, we take the draw. So
We'll fly through these 3 o'clock matches. You have Southampton v Hull. Southampton 40-85, Hull 13-2, and a draw 21-10.
29-10.
29-10. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to go with Southampton here, wouldn't you?
Would you?
I know they got beat by Everton last week, but they still played very well. They're creating chances, like it's
Creating chances. The only thing about it is they're after losing Fraser Foster, who has been possibly one of their best players this year.
He's been the best goalie in the league probably after the here.
Yeah.
Maybe Courtois.
After last weekend.
Well, after him getting chipped from 66 yards, yeah. But like Fraser Foster, he's probably the best English goalie in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He's better than Joe Hart, I think.
Yeah, without a doubt, I definitely agree with you on that.
Joe
one.
Hart got all the praise for keeping Barcelona out one night. Fraser Foster's done that 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, playing for Celtic.
For Celtic, like, you know, people forget these things. Like,
but yeah, no, I think Hull.
would you back Hull at 13-2?
No, I wouldn't back them at 13-2. I'd back the draw.
Back the draw. Well, you're
plus a goal probably works out at around 7-4.
You're counting on Southampton not finding the net here, then, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hull have no firepower. Jelic is out injured now too.
Jelic, this could be a job 0-all.
But it'll definitely be the last one to match it. It is Saturday night.
Right, Sunderland and Palace. What about Palace last night?
Yeah, I think so.
We tipped Palace up 4-1 last week to beat City.
I hope you were all on, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Louise had a crafty little fiver on it, all right. Yeah. Sunderland, good win, good derby win against Newcastle the
they
weekend.
needed it though.
Defoe, an
They
unbelievable
needed it.
goal.
That was a cracker, absolute cracker of a
That
goal.
was 2 bad teams though. Like, that was a bad game.
Look at Newcastle are getting worse by the week.
As we said here last week and the week before, they're on their holidays already.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get into Europe, which they want. This is where they want to be.
They're not going to get relegated.
No.
They're high enough up the table.
Yeah, they're high enough up the table. Yeah. Palace 17-10.
Yeah, well, look, we've money left over from last night, so we're going to reinvest it on Palace.
Reinvest them. We go with Palace.
Like, if you look at the game against City, like none of their big players played that well.
Yeah, Bolassi or Zaha didn't play well at all. Glenn Murray, who was the top scorer in the Championship and injured for 18 months, terrorised City. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And this
so-called Vincent Kompany couldn't deal with him at all.
In fairness, Vincent Kompany was the best defender in the Premier League there for years. He's just gone at the game the last couple of months. Like, you know. picks up injuries, then he hasn't come back. Hasn't really put in a good performance this season. Like,
No, he's been very.
Nothing's coming to mind. But
he's been in and out of the team. It probably affects the team, stuff like that too. Puncheon hit an absolute cracker of a free kick.
Dinger, absolute dinger.
That's City's title challenge finished now.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, they're down 4th now.
No, there's no chance of winning it. Next game, right? Moving on. Next game is Spurs and Villa. Spurs only get a 0-0 draw. I'm not saying when I say only, it was a poor game on Sunday.
It was a terrible game. Villa actually.
But Burnley are very, very dogged at home.
Yeah, oh yeah. They beat City there a couple of weeks ago. Like, I know that's not saying much now, do we? City's gone, but like, I think they have a great home record.
Yeah.
I think they've won 5 games. They've drawn something like 11 at home, or well, maybe
their home form is keeping them in.
Home form's keeping them in the prison. They're a good, honest team, like, you know. But Villa 5-1 to beat Tottenham, would you?
No,
Villa were in the game by times against United last week.
Yeah.
You're forgetting, like, Tim Sherwood manages Villa now, and he knows everything about that Tottenham team.
Yeah.
He had them last season. He's given the likes of Harry Kane, Ryan Mason, Bentaleb their chance in the Tottenham
Spurs
team.
are still challenging for the top 4. I know it's a slim chance.
Oh, they're there with their chance, like.
But, it's hard to look past Spurs at White Hart Lane.
11 to 20 is a bit short.
Yeah.
Maybe for the fact that Villa or Sherwood would know a lot about sport, maybe would lean towards a draw here at 29 to 10.
Villa have to win too, like.
Villa have to win too. Like,
They're
every
gonna be
point's
caught
going
up
to
in
be
this.
every point's going to be crucial for them now. Like, you know,
Yeah.
they're back in the bottom 3 now after QPR's result the weekend, aren't they?
Yeah. So, fourth game on Saturday at 3 o'clock sees West Brom take on Leicester. God, this game.
This is 2 bad teams. Well, West Brom's not a bad team. West Brom were going for 5 straight wins in a row at home without conceding a goal, and the next thing QPR turned around and stuffed them last weekend.
Yeah.
Like, no one's seen that coming.
No, anyone back in
Especially us,
QPR
like.
last weekend would need their head examined, like the form that they had been going through away from home and to go against the Tony Pulis team. And
So that's the Premiership, you know.
With a 4-1 result.
That's the Premiership. Throws up these anomaly results. The more got an unbelievable cracker to do, like, you know. I wouldn't touch this game.
No. The only thing, if I
you
was,
push me, I'd go West Brom.
Well, I'd go under 2.5 goals.
Yeah, well, West Brom, they'll want, Pulis will want a reaction after what happened last week anyway.
Yeah, but it's two weak enough teams.
Right, the last 3 o'clock game, West Ham and Stoke.
West Ham and Stoke.
6-5 West Ham, 23-10 Stoke, and 9-4 draw.
This could be another contender for the last game in the match of the day, Saturday night.
This is a game I will not be watching Saturday anyway.
No, definitely not.
They're 2 teams, nothing to play for either.
Yeah.
Looks like Big Sam's probably going to move on at the end of the season. Stoke, I think Stoke have a chance of getting into the Europa League, don't they? I think
Possibly
they finished 10th last season, which was their best finish, and they're looking to better that too.
Yeah.
But they've a bit more about them than West Ham.
West Ham are very hard to beat at Upton Park as well. Like they're 6-5 for a reason. We could come on next week and say 6-5 was a great price.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with Stoke. I'm going to go 23-10 Stoke, just for the bit of value. 5 o'clock game, the mighty Burnley at Turf Moor, 11-2 against Arsenal at 8-15.
8-15.
3-1 a draw.
Yeah.
Would you take the 8-15 with Arsenal? Probably looks a bit for the short odds. It looks a bit big, like, you know. But as we said earlier, Burnley are unbelievable.
Burnley's home record, yeah, it's been phenomenal. Like, I still think Arsenal are a team, no matter how good the opposition they're playing against and what form they're in, they've that many creative players. They've Ramsey, Cazorla,
Ozil, World Cup
Sanchez. They've one player that can just
one
moment of magic, and that's it. Arsenal get a goal. Maybe out of nothing against a run of play.
Giroud's unbelievable too. Like,
yeah,
like he could get one from a corner like that, which you wouldn't really.
Exactly.
You wouldn't really.
Earlier on against Everton, earlier on this season, they were playing Everton at Goodison, and Giroud got 2 goals from 2 crosses, and that was it. That's all that they needed.
Plus, they've turned the corner lately, Arsenal, haven't they? They really looked like a top good team.
Yeah, they turned it on last weekend. Now it was.
Oh well, they weren't playing much last weekend. They only played Liverpool, like, you know.
Yeah, well, tipped up Arsenal winning both teams to score 23-10.
Yeah, so we knew. Right, we move on to the Sunday game. We have a London derby here. QPR 15-2 after a good win last week against Chelsea at 1-3, 19-5 a draw.
Yeah.
Would you take the 1-3 with Chelsea? Maybe.
No, I wouldn't back Chelsea at 1-3. They probably will win, but I can't back them with that short of odds, and I can't back them minus the goal either.
They're eking by.
Now, the bet for this weekend will be Chelsea to win and both teams to score. You get good value on that bet. You QPR should score, but Chelsea will score more.
I think that was a random result. Them beating West Brom. I think Chelsea probably 1 or 2-0 here.
Yeah, but Chelsea just about bet Stoke last weekend at Stamford Bridge.
No.
Stoke have nothing to play for.
Costa's injured now too.
Costa pulled up. He came on at half time, and within 15 minutes
you shouldn't have been coming on
gone.
at all. Then, like, you know, if you're not fit enough to start, why would you be fit enough on the bench to come into the game when the game's in full flow? Like this happened to him last season when he was at Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
They played him the last game of the season against Barcelona. He pulled up, came off. Same thing happened in the Champions League final 10 minutes in. You know, you just can't take chances at this sort of a level.
Exactly, and it's not that they're stuck for players. They've like Remy on the bench.
Drogba.
Remy scored last weekend, and he scored a weekend before that as well. Like he's prolific.
He's a quality player. Like, he'd get into any side.
Definitely.
You know, maybe Liverpool should have passed him on his medical earlier on in the season.
Right, United and City.
Right, we go on to the big match now. United 6-4, City 9-5, 9-4 a draw. What do you reckon here? City look to be on their holidays, like, you know.
As much as it kills me, I fancy United at 6-4. Like, when are United ever 6-4 at Old Trafford?
I know, exactly. Since Alex Ferguson retired, they're 6-4 a good bit, like, you know.
But not at Old Trafford. Like, the form that City are in at the minute.
City are muck, yeah. And the form United are in.
Yeah, United, Spurs, Liverpool, Villa last weekend.
Yeah, they dropped the gear against Villa last weekend and won out easy. Rooney scored an unbelievable
Yeah, well,
goal.
once they went 2-0 up, they just a moment madness, let's say, from De Gea. And
2 mistakes from De Gea in his last 2 games. Like, no, that was a bad goalie that inning.
It was a great goal from Herrera, wasn't it? Herrera was with his weak foot, like.
With his weak foot, yeah.
And Rooney as well.
Well, it's good to see Herrera, Fellaini, Matt, all these players coming into a bit of form, because they've been getting nothing but flack for the last year, like, you know.
Fellaini's been very good lately.
Fellaini's been unbelievable. Even that touch, they never put Rooney in for the penalty.
Yeah, which could have been a penalty.
What did they say on Match of the Day? We've seen them given, like, you know. It was a stonewaller, really, like, you know. But United don't get too many penalties anymore, like. So you're saying United 6-4, yeah?
Yeah, it kills me to say it.
Put your red jersey on, you know.
I have my red jersey on me Monday night. And Liverpool are taking on Newcastle.
Liverpool in woeful form at the minute.
But what more, like...
You couldn't pick a better team to play at home than Newcastle, like, you know. I'm going to say Liverpool win this 3 or 4-0.
Yeah.
Newcastle are gone on their holidays, like, you know, not going to get relegated. They're a soft team anyway, like, you know. Yeah. A couple of surprise results in the season. They beat Chelsea earlier on in the season.
Bet Liverpool earlier on this season as well. And they bet Chelsea. They were first team to beat Chelsea in the league this season at St James's. But this game is not in St James's. Like, once Newcastle leaves St James's, they're very...
Pressure's on Liverpool as well, like, you know, pressure's coming on Rodgers now with this whole Sterling situation too, like, you know, they'll want a good result to put a lot of these things to bed, you know.
The whole Sterling situation, like, it's been blown totally out of proportion.
Well, he's getting bad advice. He had no business doing that interview without the club say so, like.
Yeah,
you know?
I totally agree with you.
Like, the club, like, he's there talking about who he wants to play for next season and money and stuff like that. Like, Liverpool's paying his wages this season.
Wages at the minute.
And he's in a 2.5-year contract still to run, like, so. I don't know, I think he'll do the business against Newcastle Monday night, like. He couldn't pick a better opponent.
I can. Probably Liverpool.
2-5 is very short. Maybe
Liverpool to win 0. We agreed not.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe Liverpool, United, Arsenal, and Tottenham. Wiyaka.
I'd be sticking Palace in that.
Palace in that. Oh yeah.
Palace.
Yeah, Palace to beat Sunderland.
I fancy Palace, Spurs, and West Ham.
West Ham.
All a bit of value, like.
All a bit of value, yeah. Yeah, nice little bet if it clicks.
Okay. Right, moving on to, some might say the biggest sporting event of this weekend. Others might say, well, the Grand National, but the US Masters.
Oh, the golf, yeah. Like, this is like the Grand National. It'll get a lot of new viewers who wouldn't normally watch horse racing. Like, everyone will be watching.
There's people who'll just watch the Masters.
Yeah,
and that's it for the year, and they'll not watch another golf tournament until next year, until the Masters.
But it is compelling viewing, like.
That's great.
It's you're hooked from Thursday evening in.
Without a doubt, you'll not leave
Sunday night,
Sunday evening, light the fire, get a takeaway and just sit back and relax.
You could go out and watch it in the pub either, like, you know. No, like it's Augusta, it's the Masters. The winner gets the green jacket. You know, it's an unbelievable spectacle, like, you know.
All the talk's going to be about Rory as well.
All the talk about Rory. Seen he's a new Nike ad out this morning about him watching Tiger Woods when he was growing up too.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to feed the frenzy into McIlroy too.
The
like.
Americans love McIlroy as well. That's what they're all talking about this over the last maybe 6 months. It's about McIlroy. McIlroy hasn't won the Masters yet.
But he's won every other major. This is going for the personal Grand Slam for him. Like,
yeah, he's bidden to become only the 6th player in history of golf to win all 4 majors.
Plus, before he won any major, this was the one he should have won. In 2011, wasn't it?
I'm nearly sure it was 11.
I think he was 1-2 on the Sunday morning teeing off. And then
he was 10 under going on to the 10th hole on the Sunday night, and he blew it away.
It was supposed to be a victory parade, like, you know, he just...
It was just a matter of him turning up on the Sunday, basically.
Well, yeah, but, you know, maybe that was his
Pressure
inexperience
got to
at the
him.
time.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. And
he hasn't done it since.
I don't think he will win this weekend either.
I think he's very hard to get away from him, like, too. Like, he did start the season in good form, and
He's only won one tournament.
The Dubai Desert Classic.
Yeah, that was the only one. Like, he was only tied for 9th in the WGC, and he was only tied for 11th in the Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, but you can't play your best every week. I think he's saving a bit back for this weekend.
He hasn't played it over the last. He wasn't playing the Shell Houston last weekend, and he wasn't playing. It could be nearly 3 or 4 weeks since he's been playing in a competitive tournament.
Yeah, but he's doing that for a reason, I think. Like, I think he's just focused on the Masters. Just wants to get out.
He really wants this one.
Get out in
he?
Augusta now.
Yeah.
This is the one he wants. Like, you know. So
if he was to never win another major in his life, this will be the one that he wants.
Well, I think he wants this one, and he wants it next year, and as many as he can get. Like,
yeah.
He has the hunger in him,
once he gets one, he's the potential to go on and win as many as he wants. Like.
Oh yeah. Well, he's 11-2 now at the minute.
He's 11-2. It's short.
It's a bet to nothing each way. Like, we're playing 5 places each way as well, and we'll give him money back and 2nd and 3rd placings. 11-2 is very short. You like this Jordan Spieth, don't you?
Yeah, Spieth was unlucky at the weekend. He got into the playoff against JB Holmes and Johnson Wagner. Now he was beaten in the first hole in the playoff. He landed in the bunker, and his bunker shot, he thought that he heard a camera going off behind him, and that knocked him off his rhythm. He ended up losing. Well, he was eliminated after that hole. Now, he won the Valsper Open earlier on this season. He's a 10-1 shot. He's only 21 or 22. He was a rookie last year. I think he finished 3rd.
Yeah, they're holding him up as the American McIlroy, aren't they? Like,
yeah.
he's really a new kid on the scene. Like, you wouldn't have heard of this guy a year ago, really, would you?
Still very short at 10-1 though.
He's very short.
For only his 2nd ever competitive tournament.
It's different between winning a normal tour event and winning the Masters at Augusta. Like, you know, getting the green jacket on your Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, this is psychologically, this is a big tournament to win. Like, you know.
Oh, without a doubt. Like,
and here's your man that toured in the betting, 11-1, Bubba Watson. He's
Bubba
done it
twice in the last 3 years. He won it in 2012 and 2014. He's 11-1 this year. Now, he's only one competitive tournament win this year, and that's been the WGC HSBC.
Yeah, Augusta suits him though. Augusta's 4 big hitters.
Yeah.
There's not too many bigger hitters than Bubba.
Bubba's definitely one of the biggest hitters.
He has the temperament to do it too.
He knows what it takes to win it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off 11-1 there for an each way bet.
No,
he's going to be there with a chance on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Like, I totally agree with you on that one. Jason Day has a great record around Augusta as well, 14-1. He hasn't played that much this season though. He's been criticised recently for his slow play, so he's obviously 14-1 for a reason. Like,
as you know, to win the Masters at Augusta, you need a back catalogue of course form behind you to get around here. Like, you know, as you said, he's had a couple of placings already now. For the last 2-3 years, I've always thrown him in an each way bet as well. Like, you know, thinking. But it's just getting across that line. I think 14-1's maybe a bit short on him. I'd rather take maybe the 16s and Dustin Johnson under him. Like, you know.
Dustin Johnson.
He seems to be back near enough his best form now. Like, you know, after his hiatus.
Definitely. And Adam Scott, like, who won it 2 years ago in 2013.
Yeah,
he's changed his putter.
He's changed his putter now to a short putter. So I'd hold off him.
Yeah, there's still going to be question marks surrounding Scott. Jimmy Walker. this is my man.
This is your nap.
This is, well, not nap, but
Rory says back Jimmy Walker.
He's won two PGA tournaments this year. He won the Sony Open in Hawaii, and he also won the Valero Open in Texas. 22 to 1. Now, he was on the US Ryder Cup team. Like, he only really came to life last year in the PGA Tour. But he'll have no nerves going out this weekend.
Oh, no. He's there on merit, like, you know, he's...
And he's 22 to 1 for a reason. Like, paying, even if he finished second or third, including ties, Boyle Sports will refund your money back as well.
Yeah, it's a great offer for betting this. I'm going to give you a big price one, 50 to 1 shot. Louise, who's the South African, like I was saying there, it needs course form. Bob actually beat him in a playoff in 2011.
Yeah.
You know, he has won a major already. He won the UK Open, like, you know.
Yeah. And
he's been struggling with injuries over the last couple of months, but when he's played, he showed sparks of he's in form at the minute too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
plus, like, Charles Schwartzel won this in 2011, and then Trevor Imran won it as well. They're both South African teams. South Africans seem to actually play well at Augusta.
Gary Player as well.
Gary Player as well too.
Back in the day.
So I think 50 to 1 Louis is a good bet now for now.
Right, well,
that's going to be mine now. That's where my money's going for the Masters.
Fair enough. I'll not disagree with you on that. Now, 35 to 1 Ricky Fowler. Looking down from that, you have the Irish contingent: Shane Lowry 100 to 1, Padraig Harrington 100 to 1, Graham McDowell 100 to 1, and
the Ryder Cup captain Darren Clark 750 to 1.
Yeah.
So,
like, Bar Harrington's winning the Honda Classic. He hasn't done maybe anything over the last couple of years.
I think G-Mac's a big price at 100 to 1. Is he out of form that much?
He had a good enough year last year, but like, I haven't really heard much of him this year. Like, Harrington has won 3 majors before. Like, he's won the Open, and I think he's won the US Open as well.
Then he went and he changed his game and everything, and it all disintegrated on him.
Went
really,
downhill
like,
after that. Like,
they were saying back in the mid-2000s there was going to be him and Tiger at the front end, at the back nine of these majors for years to come. Never materialised, but on his day, as he showed earlier on this season, like, you know, he won it up.
On the Classic, like, that's.
It'd be a sentimental point of Anton at 100 to 1 now.
No, like, there's Irish people will still back him without a doubt. Like,
I'd love to see Graham McDowell get a good.
I'd love to see Shane
Love to
Lowry.
see him in the mix there, and that'd be some story, like,
yeah.
Like. But
there's another bet that I fancy is Paul Casey, who finished 9th in the Shell Houston Open there last weekend.
Yeah.
He's a 9 to 2 shot to be the top English golfer. Now, that top English golfer involves Lee Westwood, Justin Rose, Ian Poulter, other lads like that. But
Rose would be a big danger there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but Rose hasn't been playing overly well this year. Like, Casey, as I said, like, he finished 9th. I don't know, he just caught my eye in that market. Like, there's...
Yeah. Well, you haven't too many threats there. Lee Westwood is morphing into Colin Montgomery, like, you know. He's not going to win a major, like, you know.
No, exactly, yeah.
Who else have you got? Ian Poulter, unbelievable at match play golf. He
can't
translate it to being there.
It's the difference between
on the
his
back
match
nine
play
it's unbelievable.
And
He's probably one of the best Ryder Cup players going, like, Poulter, like, you know.
And Justin Rose, no, I can't see him.
Yeah, it's a bit too much out of form at the time.
Yeah. Like, whenever we were talking about Harrington, like, after Rose's win a couple of years ago in the USPGA, I think it was.
Yeah, we'd expected him to kick on after that.
Yeah, but he hasn't really, you know, he's been poor enough.
Right, so you go with Jimmy Walker at 22s.
Jimmy Walker at 22s.
At 50s.
50s.
So hopefully we'll be collecting that.
Hopefully, yeah, Sunday night.
Late Sunday night, early Monday morning.
We'll have to fight till the better end anyway. Stay up and watch the final putt and see who gets the green jacket.
Oh, yeah, get the coffee on Sunday night, yeah. Right, so that's it for...
That wraps it up for this week. As I said to you, like, enjoy the Grand National on Saturday.
Oh, hopefully, like, it's going to be an emotional watch, like, you know.
it'll
You're
be
going to
great.
need a rest after it.
Yeah, well, if Mackay wins, it'll definitely be emotional. There'll be tears left, right,
There'll be tears in our office now. There'll be
Yeah,
tears left. Not the good kinds. Not the good kinds.
So, yeah, that's basically it, Demo.
I'd say we'll wrap her up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Go back to Louise there.
Yeah, thanks, Louise.
So that's it from All About Sport for this week from the Cavan Crystal Hotel, Dublin Road, Cavan Town. If you want to feature on the show, find me on Facebook, Louise O'Reilly, or follow at Cavan TV Sport on our Twitter page. Thank you for watching, and it's goodbye from me, Louise O'Reilly.